A 72-year-old monk sits on a stone floor, with no mirror in the room. He presses 3 fingers against his jawbone every morning before the sun rises. He holds for 30 seconds on each side, then moves up along the cheekbones, then the forehead. There is no serum, no retinol, and no clinic involved. Western dermatologists who have photographed senior Tibetan monks in monastery settings consistently report the same anomaly. The skin structure visible in men their age, the deep sagging, the jowling, the collapsed cheek volume, is largely absent. It is not present in all of them, but in enough to stop and ask, what are they doing that we stopped doing 1,000 years ago? The answer is not mystical, it's mechanical. At minute 9, I'll show you the specific Kung pressure sequence from Tibetan medicine's classical texts, a technique documented in the Gyuji, the foundational medical text of Sowa Rigpa, and why the version most people discover online produces almost no lasting result. At minute 12, I'll expose the trap inside the $52 billion anti-aging skincare industry that's making the problem worse while charging you for the solution. At minute 16, the advanced technique that requires tiers 1 and 2 already in your system, the piece that most people will never get because they're not willing to do the work to earn it. At minute 20, the hidden layer that makes the entire system work long-term. And at minute 23, why this 1,300-year-old approach has survived every cosmetic revolution in human history. You cannot get this from a 10-minute video, not because of length, but because of depth. What breaks down in month 3 of any practice isn't technique, it's integration. That's what we're building today. First, understand what's actually happening to your face after 50. Drepung Monastery, South India, summer, 4:30 in the morning. Senior monks have been awake for 90 minutes already. The first practice ends before moving to the next. Before the sun crosses the courtyard walls, they perform what the classical texts call ku, the oil application phase of kunye, the Tibetan medical system's massage therapy. For the face, this isn't a luxury ritual. It's maintenance, the same way a craftsman conditions his tools. The kunye system comes from the Gyuji, the 4 medical tantras compiled in the 8th century by Yuthuk Yonten Gompo. The text explicitly lists kunye as one of 6 core external therapies. It describes specific lung points on the face, junctions in the wind energy channels where manual pressure regulates circulation, releases stored muscular tension, and affects what Tibetan medicine calls our lung, the wind element governing the nervous system and aging processes. Modern Western dermatology has a different vocabulary for what happens when you press these points consistently. The mechanism is called mechanotransduction. Here's how it works. Your skin has cells called fibroblasts. Their job is to produce collagen and elastin, the 2 proteins that keep skin firm and structured. Fibroblasts are mechanosensitive. They respond to physical pressure. When you apply consistent controlled pressure to facial tissue, fibroblasts receive a mechanical signal that activates collagen synthesis. A 2017 study published in PLOS One by Caberlato and colleagues measured exactly this. Skin samples massaged at specific frequencies showed increased expression of procollagen 1, decorin, fibrillin, and tropoelastin, the building blocks of skin structure. They tested on donors aged 68 and 50. Both showed the same response. This is not a theory, it's quantified fibroblast activation in aging human skin. Now do this right now. Press your 3 middle fingers flat against your cheekbone, the bony ridge just below your eye socket. Moderate pressure, not painful. Hold for 10 seconds and release. Feel that slight warmth? The skin's microcirculation is responding. That warmth is vasodilation. Blood is arriving where it was restricted, bringing oxygen and nutrients. This is the beginning of what Tibetan medicine has been triggering at these specific points for over 1,000 years. If you felt nothing, your baseline circulation in that area is suppressed. We'll come back to why and what resets it at minute 12. Tier 1 starts tonight. You need one thing: sesame oil, apricot kernel oil, or any cold-pressed carrier oil. Warm it slightly. Put the bottle in a cup of warm water for 2 minutes. Cold oil on the face bypasses half the benefit. Apply 3 to 4 drops to your fingertips, not your palms, fingertips. The precision matters. Step 1. Start at the chin. 3 fingers placed flat below the jawbone. Slow circles pressing upward and outward toward the ear for 20 seconds. Then lift and move to the middle of the jaw. Same motion for 20 seconds. Then the back angle of the jaw near the ear for 20 seconds. Step 2. Move up to the cheekbones. 3 fingers below the cheekbone, circling upward toward the temple for 30 seconds each side. You are pressing toward the bone, not just stroking the skin surface. The pressure needs to reach the fascia beneath. Step 3. Forehead. 2 fingers on the midpoint between your eyebrows. Press firmly and circle outward, moving toward the temples. This is the point Tibetan texts specifically identify as a primary lung release site for the face, a location where wind energy stagnates and creates visible tension patterns in the skin. Total time is 4 minutes every morning before anything touches your face, before water, before shaving. The 7-day result is specific. Your skin will look more awake without effort by day 4. Not radically different, but measurably more color, more evenness in tone. That's increased baseline perfusion. The 30-day result is where collagen synthesis begins to show. Common mistake number 1, using too little oil and dragging the skin. If your fingers are pulling, you're creating micro tears in the epidermal surface. The oil must allow glide, reapply if there is resistance. But here's what Tier 1 can't solve. The reason most men never see structural change, actual lifting, or actual firmness change is because Tier 1 addresses circulation and surface-level fibroblast activation. There's a deeper problem that no amount of pressure will fix until you understand what's causing it. Here's what Tibetan medicine understood in the 8th century that modern dermatology confirmed in 2023. Skin doesn't age in isolation. It ages in response to your nervous system's baseline state. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, directly suppresses fibroblast proliferation. The mechanism involves glucocorticoids binding to receptors in dermal fibroblasts and blocking TGF-beta signaling. TGF-beta is the pathway that drives collagen synthesis. When cortisol is chronically elevated, your fibroblasts are chemically prevented from building new collagen. The published research on this is from StatPearl's NCBI 2023. Cortisol suppresses fibroblasts and keratinocyte proliferation, accompanied by directly reduced collagen synthesis. This is not abstract. This is the reason the $52 billion anti-aging skincare industry is growing every year. While the average man over 50 still watches his face change faster than expected, the creams are working on the surface. The cortisol is working underneath, and cortisol wins every time. Now here's where Tibetan monastery life becomes a controlled experiment. Monks maintain consistently low cortisol baselines. That's documented not because they're enlightened, but because their daily structure mathematically removes the conditions that spike it. Early wake time, consistent circadian rhythm, morning meditation with a proven cortisol-lowering response, and minimal reactive stimuli in the first 2 hours of the day. No screens, no news, no email from the moment of waking. A systematic review by Kim and Kwan, published in 2023, found that facial massage itself reduces cortisol levels and stimulates parasympathetic nervous system activation. The massage reduces cortisol. Lower cortisol means fibroblasts can work. The work the massage stimulated then actually completes. This is why Tier 1 alone plateaus. You're pressing the accelerator while cortisol rides the brake. Let's close something I opened at minute 1. I said the morning cue sequence that monks perform works for reasons most people get backwards. Here's the backwards part. Most people think the benefit is in the technique. It's in the timing. Monks perform cue on the face before any cognitive or emotional loading of the day, before cortisol has spiked. The fibroblasts are maximally responsive at that moment. Do the same pressure points 3 hours later after email and traffic and whatever went wrong before 9 a.m., and you get a fraction of the result. Morning before the day starts. That's not tradition, that's cortisol pharmacology. Tier 2 addresses this directly. 3 additions to your 4-minute Kunye sequence. First, before you apply oil, do 3 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing. 4 counts inhale through the nose, 8 counts exhale through the nose. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system before you begin. Your skin is in repair mode, not defense mode. When you start the pressure work, second, add the 2 points Tibetan medicine calls lung, releasing specific sites. The Gyuji identifies these for wind energy. The first is at the inner corner of each eye. Press gently with your index finger for 20 seconds. The second is the temporal hollow, the soft indentation directly at your temple. 20 seconds each side with slow circles. These points correspond to lymphatic drainage pathways. You're activating detoxification and puffiness reduction simultaneously. Third, finish with cold water. Splash your face 10 times with the coldest tap water you can stand immediately after the oil is absorbed. This is vasoconstriction following the vasodilation of the massage. The contrast cycle pushes the circulation response deeper and closes the pores over the oil that is penetrated. Monks in mountain monasteries have used cold water on the face as a deliberate practice since before the 8th century. Not because they're stoic, but because it works. Combined time is 7 minutes. Still before coffee, still before screens. What changes by week 2 of Tier 1 and Tier 2 together? The morning puffiness that most men accept as normal begins to reduce. The reason is that lymphatic drainage now has a daily reset. Fluid that was accumulating in facial tissue overnight is being cleared consistently. Let me close something else. At minute 3, I told you the trap inside the skincare industry makes the problem worse while charging you for the solution. Here it is. The anti-aging skincare market hit $52 billion in 2024, growing at 7.7% annually. And the average American household spends $480 per year on skincare, a number that climbs significantly for men over 50 who've developed a routine. What is most of that money buying? Topical retinol increases cell turnover on the surface, generating visible improvement in skin texture and fine lines within 8 to 12 weeks. This is a genuine effect. But here's the problem. Retinol doesn't reach fibroblasts. It works in the epidermis. Collagen lives in the dermis, deeper down. The cells being stimulated by retinol are not the cells that produce the structural proteins. Collagen creams are another issue. Collagen molecules are too large to penetrate the skin barrier. This is not controversial. It's basic dermatology. Every collagen cream you've purchased has sat on the surface and been wiped away. Serums with peptides are more promising, as some peptides are small enough to penetrate. But here's the trap. If cortisol is blocking TGF-beta signaling in your fibroblasts, no peptide reaching the dermis can activate what the glucocorticoid receptor has locked. You're buying the key, but cortisol changed the lock. The 2021 pilot study by Okuda and colleagues, using CT scans of volunteers who massaged their cheeks for 2 weeks, showed measurable improvements in facial mobility and tissue response. But the subjects who showed the strongest results shared one characteristic the researchers documented. They performed the massage consistently in the morning with no reported sleep disruption or high stress in the study period. Low cortisol, open fibroblasts, massage activates them, structural improvement occurs. High cortisol, locked fibroblasts, massage moves tissue around, but no structural improvement. Now test this. Think about the last 3 months. Have you noticed your skincare routine working less well than it used to? Not that you aged, but that the products work less well. That's not your skin changing. That's cortisol rising year over year. Documented in the Baltimore longitudinal study, suppressing the biological pathways the products need to function? The industry knows this. They respond by upgrading the product, increasing the concentration, and adding new actives. The answer generates more revenue, but the problem remains. The monks have no skincare industry. They have a nervous system regulation practice and a 4-minute morning sequence. And their faces, photographed at 65 and 70, retain structural characteristics that the products can't reproduce. Tier 3 addresses the cortisol problem directly. And this is what I said at minute 1. You'd need tiers 1 and 2 to earn. You earn tier 3 when the Q sequence is fully automatic. When you don't think about the steps, when your hands know where to go, that takes 3 to 4 weeks minimum. The Tier 3 edition is a 5-minute morning meditation performed before Tier 1. Not seated meditation for 45 minutes, just 5 minutes. You are looking to produce one specific measurable state, cortisol suppression at the moment your fibroblasts are most responsive. Here's the exact method. Sit in a chair, back straight, both hands flat on your thighs, eyes closed, or soft gaze downward. For 5 minutes, place your full attention on the physical sensation of your breath at the nostrils, the temperature difference, the texture of the air. When your mind leaves, and it will leave constantly in the beginning, you notice it left and you return. That's the practice. The noticing and returning is what generates the parasympathetic activation, not the stillness. After 5 minutes of this, your cortisol awakening response, the natural cortisol spike that peaks 30 to 45 minutes after waking, is measurably blunted. You then go directly into the 3-minute breathing pattern of Tier 2 and the 4-minute Kunye sequence. Complete morning system, 5 minutes meditation, 3 minutes breathing, 4 minutes Kunye, cold water finish, 12 minutes total. The complete timeline. Morning of day 1, you feel the pressure points, slight warmth, and circulation response. Day 3, you notice morning puffiness reducing. Day 7, people may comment you look rested or that something is different without identifying what. Day 30, skin tone is measurably more even. The hollowness under the cheekbones that develops with age begins to fill slightly as circulation and lymphatic drainage normalize. Day 60, with all 3 tiers consistent, you begin to see structural differences, not dramatic but gradual. Firmer tissue at the jaw, more defined cheekbones. These are the changes that creams cannot produce because they don't reach fibroblasts. Day 90, the practice has become invisible. You do it before you're fully awake, and your face shows a consistent quality that has no single explanation, just the accumulated result of 90 mornings of mechanotransduction, lymphatic drainage, and cortisol-regulated fibroblast activity. That's what the monk's face shows at 70. Not that he never aged, but that his aging followed a different curve. Now you have the system, but mastery means knowing when it breaks down and what to do when it does. Because it will break down. Travel disrupts it, illness disrupts it, work pressure disrupts it. And when it breaks down, men do one of 2 things: push harder or quit. Both are wrong. The Gebchak nunnery in eastern Tibet sits at 4,200 meters altitude. Winter temperatures drop to -20. The practice doesn't stop, but it adjusts. Senior practitioners have described specific cold weather modifications: heavier oil, longer application time, the addition of warming herbs when available, flexibility within structure. That's the principle. Problem 1, you do the sequence, but your skin looks worse, not better. Symptom: increased redness or sensitivity after the massage. Diagnosis: too much pressure. You're causing mechanical stress that triggers inflammation, not collagen synthesis. Fix: reduce pressure by 40%. Your fingers should be moving tissue, not compressing it to the bone. If you can feel bone clearly under your fingertips during the cheekbone work, you're pressing too hard. Verification: after reducing pressure, redness should subside within 2 sessions. Problem 2, you see improvement in weeks 1 and 2, then nothing. Symptom: the morning puffiness reduction continues, but skin texture hasn't changed. Diagnosis: Tier 1 alone is producing the drainage benefit, but cortisol is still suppressing collagen synthesis. You haven't implemented Tier 2 fully, specifically the breathing before the sequence. Fix: add the 3-minute breathing protocol before you touch your face. Do this for 7 days and reassess. Verification: if the plateau breaks and you notice new texture improvement by day 10, cortisol was the blocker. Problem 3, you've implemented all 3 tiers for 6 weeks and notice a visible asymmetry. Symptom: one side of your face looks more improved than the other. Diagnosis: sleeping position. Most men sleep on a dominant side, which creates chronic compression on the fascia and suppresses circulation on that side nightly. Fix: during your cue sequence, double the time on the less responsive side. Add a second pass on that side only at the end of the 4-minute sequence. Verification: asymmetry should begin equalizing within 2 weeks. Problem 4, you miss 10 days due to travel or illness and feel like you've lost all progress. Symptom: visible regression, feeling that the system doesn't work long-term. Diagnosis: false. Fibroblast activation changes don't reverse in 10 days. What you're seeing is fluid reaccumulation from disrupted lymphatic drainage. Fix. Resume Tier 1 and Tier 2 only for 5 days before reintroducing Tier 3. The structural gains are not lost. The fluid changes in days. Verification. By day 5 of resumption, baseline appearance returns. You didn't lose 6 weeks, you lost drainage consistency. Test 4. Now, a diagnostic tool. Place your index finger flat against your cheekbone and press gently downward. Hold 15 seconds. Release. Watch the skin's color return. It should return to normal within 3 to 4 seconds. If it takes longer than 5 seconds, your baseline circulation in that area is still suppressed. You need more time in Tier 1 before moving to Tier 2 emphasis. If color returns in 2 seconds or under, your microcirculation is responding well. Tier 3 is appropriate. That's the refill test. Simple, requires no equipment. Do it monthly. Now I can close the loop I opened at minute 6. The advanced technique I said you'd need to earn. Here it is. Once Tier 3 is established, once the 5-minute meditation is a daily habit, not an effort, you can extend the Kunye sequence with what the classical text described for the head and face, the lung-specific circuit. Begin at the crown of the head, press firmly with the pads of all 5 fingers, and hold for 20 seconds. Then move to the base of the skull at the occipital ridge, the bony edge at the back of your head. Press and hold for 20 seconds. Then down to the upper trapezius at the base of the neck, 20 seconds each side. Then proceed with the regular face sequence. Why does this change things? Because the lung channels for the face connect upward through the neck and skull. Chronic neck tension, which virtually every man over 50 carries, restricts the wind channel flow that the face sequence is trying to activate. You're trying to drain a pipe while the valve behind it is closed. This full circuit takes 10 additional minutes. Do it 3 times per week. The days you add it, the Kunye face sequence will produce noticeably more pronounced results. That's Tier 3 complete. You've earned it. Here is something the text of the Gyuji states directly, translated from Tibetan medicine scholar Nida Chenaksang. Practice Ku regularly to overcome aging, fatigue, and disturbances of the vital energy. Not slow aging, overcome. The 8th century Tibetan physicians understood something that required modern science 300 years to partially confirm. The mechanism they identified as wind energy corresponds to what we now measure as circulation, lymphatic flow, parasympathetic nervous system tone, and cortisol regulation. Different language, same biological reality. Here's what modern medicine missed by separating these systems. Dermatology treats the skin, endocrinology treats cortisol, neurology treats the nervous system, and psychiatry treats stress. And a man over 50 with aging skin, elevated cortisol, a tense nervous system, and chronic stress has appointments with 4 specialists who are not talking to each other, each prescribing solutions that address their slice of the problem. The Tibetan monk has one morning practice that addresses all of it simultaneously, and it costs nothing. The hidden layer I promised at minute 10. It's not that the sequence is powerful, it's that the sequence trains the body to produce its own anti-aging conditions every morning before the day can disrupt them. You're not compensating for stress, you're preempting it. Now integrate this into modern life practically. Morning, the full system, meditation, breathing, Kunye, 12 minutes, non-negotiable. Midday reset, if you feel stress accumulating, press both thumbs firmly into the temporal hollow and hold for 30 seconds with a deep exhale through the nose. This triggers a brief parasympathetic response and releases accumulated facial tension that, sustained over an afternoon, visibly ages the skin by evening. Evening, nothing. The skin's collagen synthesis peaks between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Your job in the evening is to not interrupt it. Screens off by 9 p.m., no alcohol after 8 p.m. Alcohol disrupts the glucocorticoid pathways and partially cancels what the morning practice achieved. Quick test 5. Before you sleep tonight, press your 3 fingers against your cheekbone as you did at the start of this video. Hold 10 seconds. Release. The warmth you feel now should arrive faster and feel more pronounced than it did during the test at minute 3. If it does, your baseline circulation has already shifted in one sitting. That's mechanotransduction, immediate response to appropriate mechanical stimulus. The Tibetan system didn't build slow results by waiting for cumulative months of tiny benefits. It built immediate responses that, sustained every morning, compound into structural change. Let me close what I opened at minute 15. Why this survived 1,300 years of cosmetic revolutions. Every technological intervention in skin aging, retinol, peptides, injectables, radiofrequency, ultrasound, laser resurfacing, addresses symptoms. Some effectively, some temporarily, some with side effects that require additional intervention. The Cunye approach addresses conditions. It doesn't fight the symptoms of aging. It maintains the biological conditions under which the skin does not age as quickly. That's a different project. And the difference is why Soa Rigpa's external therapy system has survived every cosmetic revolution, because it's not competing with technology. It's operating at a level technology can't reach. No injectable can tell your fibroblasts when to work. No cream can regulate cortisol at the moment it matters most. No machine can teach your nervous system to enter a parasympathetic state before the first stress of the day arrives. Only you can do those things. And the monks figured out that 12 minutes every morning is sufficient to do all of them. Here's what you have now. Tier 1 Cunye sequence. Chin, jaw, cheekbones, forehead. 4 minutes. Cold-pressed oil before anything else. Directly activates fibroblast synthesis and lymphatic drainage. Tier 2, 3 additions. 3 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing before the sequence. 2 lung release points at the inner eye and temple. And cold water contrast finish. Adds cortisol suppression and lymphatic clearance. Total 7 minutes. Tier 3, 5 minutes of breath-anchored meditation before everything else. Blunts the cortisol awakening response and opens the biological window where fibroblasts are most active. Full system, 12 minutes. The modern approach, spend $480 per year on products that work on the surface of a problem that lives below the surface, generate temporary improvement, see a plateau, upgrade the product, and repeat. The monk approach. Spend 12 minutes creating the conditions in which your body does the work it was always capable of doing at zero cost, every morning indefinitely. The core difference is not ancient versus modern. It's treating the symptom versus maintaining the conditions. Tonight, apply oil to your fingers and do the Tier 1 Cunye sequence. Just the sequence. 4 minutes. You don't need the oil to be perfect. Any carrier oil works. Get the motion right. Tomorrow morning, add the 3-minute breathing before you begin. Note how your skin responds compared to tonight. This week, morning practice 6 days out of 7. That's the only goal this month. Add Tier 3 meditation if the first 2 tiers have become consistent, not before. Rushing to Tier 3 before the sequence is automatic disrupts the integration. One warning, the skincare industry has trained you to expect visible results in 14 days or your money back. Fibroblast-level collagen synthesis takes 30 to 90 days to show in photographs. The circulation benefits you'll see in days. The structural benefits require patience. Don't quit at week 3 because you don't look like a different person. Look at the skin quality, the evenness, the morning puffiness reduction. The earlier changes that tell you the deeper ones are coming. Drop your age in the comments if you're over 50 and you did the cheekbone test just now. And send this to someone who has tried every product on the market and still doesn't understand why their skin isn't responding. Go back to that monk, 72 years old, stone floor, no mirror. He isn't maintaining his skin, he's maintaining the conditions that allow his skin to maintain itself. That's not a different product. That's a different relationship with your own biology, and 12 minutes every morning is the beginning of it. If this story has changed the way you look at the signs of aging on your face, please subscribe and like our channel. We are uncovering the biological history and ancient wisdom that modern industries have tried to overshadow. Let's cultivate a future of natural vitality. The next treasure of human potential will be revealed soon.